Captain Hyunwoo Kim stood on the bridge of his ship, watching the stars move slowly past the windows. The UES Perseverance was not a big ship. It was built for exploring, not fighting. Most human ships were like this. They carried science equipment and trade goods, not weapons. "Captain, we are getting close to the Kepler mining station," said Boram Lee from her seat at the engine controls. She had been working on human ships for 15 years. Like most humans in space, she was good at her job and did not cause trouble. Hyun-Woo nodded. "Good work, Boram. Taeho, set us on a slow approach, no need to rush." Taeho Park, the ship's navigator, pressed some buttons on his screen. "Yes, sir. We will be there in 2 hours." The captain smiled. This was how humans worked in space. Slow, careful, and peaceful. For almost 200 years, humans had been part of the big galactic community. They were known as good traders and honest people. When other species had problems, they often asked humans to help solve them. "Sir, I am getting a message from Earth," said Yoo-Jin Choi from the communications station. She was young but very smart with radio systems. "Put it through, Yoo-Jin." The message came from Admiral Dalsujan at Luna Command, the human military base near Earth's moon. His face appeared on the screen and he looked worried. "All ships, this is Admiral Jian. We have lost contact with New Jeju Colony. Their last message was 3 days ago. The colony ship Harmony is going to check on them. Stay ready for more news." Hyun-Woo felt a cold feeling in his stomach. New Jeju was a farming colony with over 1,000 people. Most of them were families with children. If something bad had happened— "Sir," Taeho said quietly, "should we change course to help?" "No," Hyun-Woo said. "The Harmony is a bigger ship with more crew. We will finish our job here and wait for orders." But the captain could not stop thinking about New Jeju. In his 20 years in space, he had never heard of a human colony just going quiet like this. Humans were very careful about staying in contact. Something was very wrong. 2 days later, the news came. Yoo-Jin's face went white as she listened to her radio. "Captain, the Harmony found New Jeju Colony. Everyone is dead." The bridge went very quiet. Boram stopped working on her engine reports. Taeho turned away from his navigation screen. These were good people, and they had never seen anything like this before. "How?" Hyun-Woo asked. "Weapons fire, sir. Big weapons, the kind that warships carry. The buildings are gone. The farms are burned. There are no survivors." Hyun-Woo closed his eyes for a moment. 1,200 people. Gone. Do we know who did this? Yoo-Jin listened to more reports coming in. The Harmony's captain says the weapon marks look like Vorac technology, but the Vorac say it was not them. They say it was pirates using stolen weapons. The Vorac were the newest members of the Galactic Council. They were big, strong reptiles who loved fighting. Most other species did not trust them very much, but they had not broken any major rules yet. "Captain," Boram said, "my cousin lived on New Jeju. She had 2 little kids." Her voice was very quiet. Hyun-Woo put his hand on her shoulder. "I am sorry, Boram. We will find out who did this." But even as he said it, the captain wondered if that was true. Humans were not the strongest species in the galaxy. The Altarians could change their bodies to be perfect for any job. The crystalline beings had technology that seemed like magic. The scions could read minds and move things without touching them. Humans were just normal. They were good at solving problems and making deals, but they were not warriors. Everyone knew this. On the planet Vorthak Prime, War Chief Grextal was very happy with his test. He had sent 3 of his fastest ships to attack the human colony. His warriors had destroyed everything in less than an hour, then left. Now he was waiting to see what the humans would do. "War Chief," said his assistant, "the humans are asking for a meeting at the Galactic Council. They want to know who attacked their colony." "Let them ask," Grextal said with a big smile that showed his sharp teeth. "We will tell them it was pirates. What can they do? Fight us? They have never fought anyone. They do not even know how to fight." This was the test. For 200 years, humans had never fought back when someone caused them trouble. They always talked and made deals instead. Grextal wanted to know if this was because they were wise, or because they were weak. If they were weak, then the Vorac Empire could take their colony worlds one by one. The humans had many good planets with rich soil and clean water. The Vorac needed these things for their growing population. Sir, what if the other council species help the humans? They will not, Grextal said. The Altarians care only about their science. The crystalline beings care only about their machines. The Scions care only about their mind games. None of them will fight for humans. The war chief was right about this. When Ambassador Yunji Han spoke to the Galactic Council about New Jeju, the other species said they were sorry, but they would not take action. They said there was no proof about who really did the attack. We know it was Vorac weapons, Yunji said, trying to stay calm. Pirates steal weapons all the time, said the Altarian representative. This is not proof. We cannot start a war based on guessing, said the crystalline speaker. The Scion Council member said nothing, but Yunji could feel that they already knew the truth. They just did not care enough to help back on Earth. President Sung-Min Cho read the reports from the Galactic Council meeting. She was a small woman, but she had been leading Earth's government for 8 years. She knew how to make hard choices. They will not help us, she said to her advisors. What do we do? Asked Defense Minister Kyung-ho Baek. President Cho looked out the window at the lights of Seoul below. Somewhere in the galaxy, whoever killed 1,200 humans thought they would get away with it. They thought humans were too weak to fight back. Call for a vote in the World Assembly, she said. It is time to remind the galaxy why our ancestors had a different reputation. Her advisor looked confused. What do you mean? The president smiled, but it was not a happy smile. Call Admiral Park. Tell him to wake up the sleeping fleet. It has been quiet long enough. In his comfortable chair on Vorac Prime, War Chief Grextal was still waiting for the human response. He expected angry messages, maybe some trade sanctions, or demands for meetings. That was what humans always did. He had no idea that in hidden bases throughout human space, lights were turning on for the first time in decades. Ships that had been sleeping in the dark were starting their engines. Weapons that had been waiting patiently were being loaded and checked. The humans were about to remind the galaxy of something very important. Just because someone chooses peace does not mean they do not know how to make war. The World Assembly vote was not close. Every human nation voted yes. Every human colony voted yes. Even the peaceful settlements that had never wanted any military at all voted yes. The message was clear. If the galaxy would not give them justice, humanity would take it. President Sung-Min Cho stood before the cameras as billions of humans watched from Earth and the colonies. Her words were simple and direct. For 200 years, we have been peaceful neighbors to all species in this galaxy. We have traded fairly, solved problems through talking, and helped anyone who asked for our aid. We chose this path because we believed it was right. She paused, looking directly into the camera. The attack on New Jeju colony has shown us that our peaceful nature is seen as weakness by some. This is a mistake that will not happen again. As of today, humanity is mobilizing for war. Across human space, the response was immediate. Admiral Jae-sung Park came out of retirement and took command of the fleet. He was 70 years old, but he remembered the old training. He remembered what human ships could really do when they needed to. How long since the last war exercise? He asked his staff. 43 years, sir, said Colonel Mi Young-song. And the deep storage facilities? All sealed and waiting, sir, just as they were left. Admiral Park nodded. Begin activation, all of them. The galaxy was watching, but they were not worried yet. Human military ships were small and weak. Everyone knew this. For 2 centuries, humans had shown only exploration vessels and trade ships. Their weapons were just for self-defense against pirates. The crystalline hegemony's leaders met in their crystal halls to discuss the situation. The humans are upset, said High Processor Zenth. But what can they do? Their ships are no match for Vorac warships. Should we offer to mediate? Asked another processor. No need. This will be over quickly. The humans will make some noise and then go back to their trading. The Scion Confederacy was having similar thoughts. In their floating cities, the mind readers shared their opinions without speaking words. The humans are emotional but not dangerous, thought Commander Yethka. They lack the mental discipline for real war. But in the deep caves of Altair Prime, Elder Kethran was reading very old files. Files that most of his people had forgotten about. Files about the time before humans joined the Galactic Council. This is not good, he whispered to himself. They do not remember. None of them remember. He tried to send a message to War Chief Grextal, but the Vorthak leader was too busy preparing his own military response to listen to warnings from the old Altarian. Let the humans come, Grextal told his generals. We have 5,000 warships. They have what? A few hundred patrol boats? This will be easy. But things were happening in human space that the Vorthak could not see. Ships were emerging from hidden bases that had been secret for decades. These were not the small exploration vessels that other species knew about. Captain Hyunwoo Kim watched in amazement as his little ship was surrounded by giants. The UES Perseverance looked like a toy next to the massive warship that had just appeared next to them. Sir, said Boram Lee, staring at her sensors, that ship is huge. Where did it come from? Deep storage, Hyunwoo said quietly. He had heard rumors about this when he was young, but he never believed them. The big warship sent them a message. Captain Kim, this is Admiral Yeonsu on the UES Retribution. You are ordered to return to Earth immediately for refitting. Refitting? Sir? Your ship is being converted for military operations. Welcome to the war, Captain. Hyunwoo had never heard of Admiral An, but when he looked her up in the computer, he found something interesting. She was listed as retired for the past 30 years. But here she was, commanding a warship that was not supposed to exist. All. Across human territory, the same thing was happening. Old admirals were coming back to duty. Ships were appearing from nowhere. Civilian factories were starting to build things they had never built before. Dr. Wan Ho Yoon had been running a peaceful shipyard that made cargo vessels. Now he was being asked to convert his entire facility to military production. I do not know how to build warships, he told the government officials who came to see him. The plans are already in your computers, they said. They have been there all along, waiting. When Wan Ho checked his systems, he found they were right. Hidden, deep in his computer files were detailed plans for weapons, armor, and military engines. Plans that someone had put there long ago and then hidden. How long have these been here, he asked. Since your shipyard was built, sir. Since all human shipyards were built. The same thing was happening everywhere. Factories that made farming. Equipment had secret plans for making ammunition. Computer companies found they had hidden programs for military systems. Even food processing plants had instructions for making soldier rations. It was as if humanity had been preparing for this war for centuries, but had hidden all the preparations so well that even most humans did not know about them. Captain Yeonsu An led her squadron of stealth ships toward the Vorthak border. The Retribution and her sister ships were built for one thing: hunting other warships. They were fast, quiet, and carried weapons that could destroy planets. How long since ships like this were used? Asked her second-in-command. Not since the Hegemony Wars, Yeonsu said. But the ships remember, even if we had forgotten. The Hegemony Wars. Most humans alive today had never heard of them. They were from the old days, before humanity became peaceful, before they joined the Galactic Council and chose diplomacy over fighting. But the ships remembered, and the weapons remembered, and deep in the hidden files of human civilization, everything was still there. All the knowledge, all the training, all the terrible efficiency of a species that had once conquered half the galaxy. Before deciding that peace was better, the Vorthak Third Fleet was stationed at Keth Prime, a border world that guarded the approaches to Vorthak space. Admiral Thekvar commanded 200 heavy warships, the pride of the Vorthak military. Sir, we are getting some strange readings, said his sensor officer. What kind of strange? I am not sure, sir. Something is moving out there, but I cannot get a clear lock on it. Admiral Thekvar was not worried. Vorthak's sensors were among the best in the galaxy. If they could not see something clearly, it was probably just space debris or a small asteroid. "Keep watching," he ordered. "But do not worry about it." This was his second mistake. His first mistake had been supporting War Chief Grextal's attack on New Jeju colony. Captain Yansu An's ships moved through space like ghosts. Human stealth technology was not magic, but it was very good. Good enough to get close to an enemy who was not expecting them. "All ships, this is retribution," she said on the secure channel. "Remember, we want no survivors to report back. Complete destruction only. Understood," came the replies from her captains. "Begin attack." The first Vorthak ship exploded without ever knowing what hit it, then the second, then 10 more. The human ships appeared out of nowhere, fired their weapons, and vanished again, before the Vorthak could even target them. "What is happening?" Admiral Thekvar shouted as his fleet died around him. "Unknown ships, sir. They are using stealth systems. Fire everything, all directions." But it was too late. The human ships were too fast, too smart, and too well coordinated. In less than an hour, the entire Vorthak Third Fleet was destroyed. 200 warships and 50,000 Vorthak warriors gone. When the attack was over, Captain Yansu An sent a single message to Vorthak Prime. "This is for New Jeju colony. More will follow." War Chief Grextal received the message and felt fear for the first time in his life. How was this possible? Where had these human warships come from? His best fleet, destroyed by enemies he could not even see properly. "Mobilize everything," he ordered. "Every ship, every warrior. The humans want war? We will give them war." But as he gave these orders, Grextal began to wonder if he had made a terrible mistake. In all his studies of human behavior, no one had ever told him that humans might be hiding their true strength. No one had warned him that making humans angry might be the worst mistake his species could ever make. War Chief Grextal's call for total mobilization shook the galaxy. The Vorthak Empire had over 10,000 warships and millions of warriors. They were known as one of the most dangerous military powers in the Galactic Council. When they mobilized for war, other species paid attention. "The humans have made a terrible mistake," Grextal announced to the galactic news networks. "They attacked our peaceful fleet at Keth Prime without warning. They are the aggressors, not us. We will defend ourselves." Many species believed him. After all, humans had never been known as fighters. The idea that they could destroy an entire Vorthak fleet seemed impossible. Maybe there had been some kind of accident, or maybe the humans had help from someone else. The crystalline hegemony decided to support the Vorthak. "We cannot allow sneak attacks on peaceful fleets," said High Processor Zenth. "We will provide technological support to help the Vorthak defend themselves." The Scion Confederacy also chose sides. "The humans are clearly being controlled by aggressive emotions," announced Mind Leader Vashadi. "We will share our intelligence networks to help restore peace to the galaxy." But Elder Kethran of the Altarians was trying desperately to reach anyone who would listen. He had found the old records, the files that were supposed to be forgotten. Files about what humans were really like long ago. "You do not understand," he told anyone who would listen. "You cannot fight them. No one can fight them. That is why they chose peace." But his warnings were ignored. Most Altarians thought he was just old and worried about nothing. Even his own people would not listen to him. On Earth, Admiral Jae-Sung Park stood in the command center deep under the Pacific Ocean. This room had been built centuries ago but never used. Now it was full of activity as humans prepared for the largest military operation in 200 years. "Status report," he said to Colonel Mi-Young-Song. "All deep storage facilities are active, sir. Fleet mobilization is at 60% and rising. Shipyard production is now at wartime levels." "How many ships?" "Current count is over 8,000, sir. More coming online every day." The Admiral nodded. 8,000 ships, and most of them larger and more advanced than anything the galaxy had seen from humanity. Ships that had been built in secret and hidden away, waiting for the day they might be needed. "What about our allies?" "The Altarian Elder Kethran has been trying to warn the Vorthak to surrender. But they are not listening. All other species have declared neutrality or are supporting the Vorac. So we are alone. Yes, sir. Just like last time. Admiral Park smiled grimly. Good. We work better alone anyway. Captain Hyun-woo Kim barely recognized his own ship. The UES Perseverance had been stripped down and rebuilt in just 5 days. Where there used to be cargo bays, there were now weapon systems. Where there used to be science equipment, there were now military sensors and communication arrays. I do not understand these new systems, said Bo-Ram Lee, looking at her engineering displays. Some of this technology is more advanced than anything I have ever seen. Where did it come from? Asked Taeho Park. Jin Choi looked up from her new communication station. I found something in the computer files. A message from the ship's original builders. It says all human ships were designed this way from the beginning. We just never activated the military systems before. Captain Hyun-woo felt a chill. You mean our exploration ship was always secretly a warship? According to this, sir, yes. Every human ship in space has hidden military capabilities. We just never knew about them. This was the truth that the galaxy was about to learn. For 200 years, humans had been flying warships disguised as peaceful vessels. Every exploration ship, every trade vessel, every passenger liner had weapons and armor hidden in its design, waiting to be activated when needed. The Vorac began their assault with confidence. War Chief Grextal led a massive fleet toward human space, sure that his superior numbers would win easily. He had 3,000 of his best warships, and they were heading straight for the human colony world of New Sol. The humans will surrender when they see what we can do to their colonies, he told his captains. They are soft. They care too much about their civilians to fight properly. But when the Vorac fleet arrived at New Sol, they found something unexpected. The planet was defended by a massive human fleet that seemed to have appeared out of nowhere. Admiral Jae-sung Park commanded the defense from his flagship, the UES Inevitable. It was the largest warship ever built by humans, over 2 kilometers long and carrying enough weapons to destroy moons. Vorac fleet, this is Admiral Park, he said on an open channel. You have one chance to surrender. Leave human space now, and you will be allowed to return home safely. War Chief Grextal laughed. 1 human fleet against 3,000 Vorac ships? You are brave but stupid, Admiral. I am neither, Park replied. I am just giving you the only choice you have left. The battle began with the Vorac doing what they always did, charging straight at their enemies with overwhelming force. It was a tactic that had won them many victories against other species. But humans fight differently. They do not charge. They plan. As the Vorac fleet rushed forward, they found themselves flying into a carefully prepared trap. Human ships appeared from behind asteroids, from the shadows of moons, from hiding places that should have been impossible to reach without being detected. The battle was not a fight. It was a demonstration. Human ships moved with perfect coordination, each one knowing exactly where the others would be and what they would do. Their weapons fired with deadly accuracy, and their defenses seemed to predict where Vorac attacks would come from. Commander Gi-jun Lim led a squadron of human destroyers against the Vorac left flank. His ships moved like dancers, flowing around enemy fire while their own weapons found targets with every shot. How are they doing this? A Vorac captain screamed on the radio before his ship exploded. The answer was simple, but terrifying. Humans had been studying Vorac tactics for decades. They knew every formation, every strategy, every weakness in Vorac military doctrine. They had prepared for this exact battle years before it happened. Within 6 hours, War Chief Grextal's mighty fleet was destroyed. 3,000 Vorac warships reduced to debris and escape pods. The War Chief himself barely escaped in a damaged cruiser, fleeing back to Vorac space with only a few dozen survivors. But the battle at New Sol was just the beginning. As news of the human victory spread across the galaxy, other species realized they had made a terrible mistake in their understanding of humanity. Captain So Young BAE commanded a human battle group that was heading straight for Vorac Prime, the enemy homeworld. Her ships moved through space like they owned it, and in a way they did. No Vorac fleet could stop them now. Send a message to all Vorac forces, she ordered. Tell them they have 12 hours to surrender completely, or we will show them why their ancestors were smart enough to fear humans. On Vorac Prime, panic was spreading through the government. How could humans be this strong? Where had these ships come from? How are they winning so easily? We need help, Grextal told his council. Call the crystalline hegemony. Call the scions. We cannot fight these humans alone. But help was not coming. The crystalline beings and the scions were starting to realize they had picked the wrong side. Human fleets were not just winning battles. They were winning them so completely that it looked easy. Elder Catherine finally got through to the Galactic Council emergency session. The old Altarian stood before the assembled representatives holding data files that most of them had never seen. You want to know why the humans are winning? He asked. I will tell you. Because they are not the peaceful traitors you think they are. They are the Terran hegemony choosing to be kind. The council chamber fell silent. 2,000 years ago, humans conquered a third of this galaxy. They destroyed species that opposed them. They ruled through fear and military might. Then one day, they chose to stop. They gave up their empire, went back to their homeworld, and when they came back to space, they came as peaceful traitors. Elder Kethran looked around the room, but they never forgot how to fight. They just chose not to. Until now. The Galactic Council chamber was dead silent as Elder Kethran finished speaking. The ancient Altarian activated a holographic display that showed star maps from 2,000 years ago. The maps showed something that shocked everyone in the room. This was the galaxy before your civilizations became powerful, he said. 1/3 of all star systems were marked with this symbol. The symbol was simple, a blue planet with white clouds. Earth. The Terran hegemony, Catherine continued, was the most efficient military force this galaxy has ever seen. They did not conquer through numbers or superior technology. They conquered through perfect planning and absolute determination. High Processor Zenth of the crystalline hegemony spoke first. That is impossible. Humans are peaceful. They have been peaceful for centuries. Yes, Elder Kethran agreed. They chose peace. Do you understand what that means? They were so powerful that they could choose to stop being warriors. They dismantled their empire voluntarily and withdrew to their homeworld for 500 years. Mind leader Vashati of the Scion Confederacy was reading the ancient files with her mental abilities. What she found there made her afraid. These records, they speak of the Zethkari Dominion, an entire species extinct. The Zethkari made the same mistake the Vorac just made, Kethran said sadly. They thought humans were weak because they acted peacefully, so they attacked Earth directly, planning to enslave humanity. The elder's voice became very quiet. The humans responded by hunting down every single Zethkari in the galaxy, not just their military, their entire species. 1,000 worlds, 40 billion individuals completely eliminated in less than 2 years. That is genocide, whispered the crystalline representative. Yes, Kethran agreed. And when it was over, the humans looked at what they had done and decided they never wanted to do it again. So they gave up their empire, hid their weapons, and became the peaceful traitors you know today. On Vorac Prime, War Chief Grextal was learning the same terrible truth. His intelligence officers had finally found some of the old records, the ones that had been classified and forgotten. Sir, said Intelligence Chief Vexta, we have a problem. A very big problem. What now? The humans. They are not what we thought they were. Look at this data. The files showed battle reports from the ancient Terran hegemony. Descriptions of human fleets that moved with impossible coordination. Weapons that could destroy entire planets. Strategies so complex that other species could not even understand them, let alone counter them. This cannot be the same species, Grextal said, but his voice lacked confidence. Sir, the genetic markers match perfectly. These are the same humans. They just stopped being warriors. Until now. Grextal felt fear growing in his chest. How long do we have? Human fleets will reach our home system in 18 hours, sir. And our allies? The crystalline hegemony just announced they are withdrawing their support. The Cyan Confederacy has recalled their ships. We are alone, sir. Captain So Young Bay's battle group emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Vorac home system. Her flagship, the UES Judgment, led a fleet of over 2,000 human warships. Every ship was perfectly positioned, every weapon system ready, every crew member trained to deadly efficiency. All Vorac forces, this is Captain BAE, she broadcast on all frequencies. You have attacked human civilians. You have chosen war. With humanity, you now have one choice remaining: complete and immediate surrender. From the planet's surface, War Chief Grextal replied. His voice was no longer proud and confident. Now he sounded tired and afraid. What are your terms? Total surrender of all Vorac military forces, disarmament of all weapon systems, war crimes trials for all commanders involved in the attack on New Jeju Colony, reparations to the families of those killed. And if we refuse? Captain Bay's answer was simple and final. Then your species joins the Zethkari in extinction. The threat was not empty. Human ships had weapons that could crack planets open. They had done it before, in the ancient wars that most species had forgotten about. The proof was in the asteroid fields that used to be Zethkari worlds. War. Chief Grextal looked around, his command center at his generals and advisors. These were proud warriors who had never backed down from a fight. But now they were looking at him with fear in their eyes. Sir, said General Kolvek, we cannot win this fight. Our entire fleet at New Sol was destroyed in 6 hours. Our home defense force is smaller than what they destroyed there. We could fight from the ground, suggested another general. Make them invade our world. Intelligence Chief Vexta shook her head. Sir, I have been reading more of the old files. The humans do not invade planets when they are at war. They have orbital weapons that can eliminate all life on a world's surface in minutes. They call it planetary sterilization. The command center fell silent. Outside the windows, they could see human ships in orbit, dark shapes that blocked out the stars. Waiting. How did this happen? Grextal asked quietly. How did we not know? Because they did not want us to know, Vexta replied. Sir, I found records of human diplomatic missions going back centuries. Every trade negotiation, every cultural exchange, every peace treaty. They were gathering intelligence on all of us, learning our weaknesses, studying our military capabilities, planning for wars they hoped would never happen. They have been preparing for this war for 200 years? No, sir. They have been preparing for every possible war for 200 years, against every species in the galaxy. They know exactly how to defeat all of us. Admiral J. Sung Park received the surrender message from Vorac Prime while he was reviewing plans for the next phase of operations. His staff had been preparing contingencies for if the Vorac refused to surrender. Those plans involved weapons that had not been used since the old Empire days. Sir, we have total surrender, reported Colonel Mi Young Song. All Vorac military forces are standing down. They are requesting terms. Good, Admiral Park said. I did not want to use the planet killers. Planet killers, sir? The weapons we built for fighting the Zethkari. We still have them, just in case. The Admiral looked tired. War is a terrible thing, Colonel. Even when you win, you lose something. The formal surrender ceremony took place on Vorac Prime. War Chief Grextal and his commanders were brought aboard the UES Judgment to sign the documents. As they walked through the human ship, they saw things that made them understand just how completely they had been outmatched. The human ship was not just larger than any Vorac vessel. It was more advanced in every way. The armor was stronger, the weapons more powerful, the computers faster. Even the smallest details showed superior engineering and design. How long have you had ships like this? Grextal asked Captain BAE. 200 years, she replied. We have been building them and hiding them, hoping we would never need them. Why hide your strength? You could have ruled the galaxy. We tried that once, it did not make us happy. Captain B.A. looked at the defeated Vorac leader with something that might have been pity. War Chief, your species made a terrible mistake. You assumed that because we chose peace, we had forgotten how to make war. The surrender terms were harsh but not impossible. The Vorac military was reduced to a small defense force. All aggressive weapons were destroyed under human supervision. The leaders responsible for attacking New Jeju colony were taken to Earth for trial. But perhaps most importantly, the Vorac were required to learn about human history. Every Vorac citizen had to study the files about the old Terran hegemony and understand what humanity was capable of when pushed too far. You will serve as an example, Admiral Park told the assembled Vorac leaders. When other species think about challenging humanity, they will remember what happened to you. They will remember that humans do not bluff. As the human fleets began returning to their hidden bases, the galaxy was very different than it had been a month before. Every species now knew the truth about humanity. They understood that the peaceful traders and diplomatic mediators were actually the most dangerous military force in galactic history. But humanity had proven something else too. They had shown that even when they had overwhelming power, they still chose to be merciful. They could have destroyed the Vorac completely, but they chose not to. This comma, perhaps, was more frightening than their weapons. A species that could destroy entire civilizations but chose not to unless forced to defend themselves. A species that preferred peace, but was absolutely lethal when that peace was broken. The galaxy would be more peaceful now. Not because everyone suddenly became nicer, but because everyone now understood the oldest rule in the galaxy. Never make humanity angry enough to stop being nice. 6 months after the war ended, Captain Hyunwoo Kim was back to exploring space, but everything was different now. His ship, the UES Perseverance, still looked like an exploration vessel, but he knew what weapons were hidden in its hull. The whole galaxy knew what human ships could really do. "Captain, we are approaching the Rigel system," said Tae-ho Park from his navigation station. "The new species we are supposed to make contact with should be here." Hyunwoo nodded. This was humanity's new role in the galaxy. Not just peaceful traders, but the species that other civilizations called when there were problems that needed solving. Problems that might require force. "Any sign of them, Yujin?" "Yes, sir. I am getting transmissions from the third planet. They call themselves the Kalari. They seem excited to meet us." Boram Lee looked up from her engineering station. "Sir, should I activate the military systems?" "No need yet, Boram, but keep them ready." The Kalari were a young species, only recently achieving spaceflight. They had sent out signals asking to join the galactic community, but they had also been making threats against their neighbors. The Galactic Council had decided that humans should make first contact. With a clear message. As the Perseverance approached Kalari Prime, they were met by a small fleet of the aliens' best warships. The ships were crude but functional, clearly designed for fighting. "Human vessel, this is Battle Leader Court of the Kalari Defense Force," came a transmission. "You will state your business here immediately, or we will destroy you." Captain Hyunwoo sighed. Another species that thought strength meant making threats. He opened a channel to respond. "Battle Leader Court, this is Captain Kim of the United Earth ship Perseverance. We are here as representatives of the Galactic Council to welcome the Kalari people to the galactic community." "We do not need your welcome," Court replied aggressively. "The Kalari are strong. We will take our place in the galaxy through conquest, not through begging for acceptance." Hyunwoo looked at his crew. They all had the same expression. "Here we go again." "Battle Leader, I think there are some things you should know about the galactic community before you make any final decisions. Would you be willing to meet with us?" "We will meet, but only to tell you that the Kalari fear no one. Prepare to be boarded." On Earth, President Sung-Min Cho was addressing the reformed Galactic Council. The chamber looked different now. The human delegation sat at the center, with other species arranged around them. It was a clear sign of who held the real power in galactic affairs. "The Kalari situation requires careful handling," she said to the assembled representatives. "They are a proud species, but they are making the same mistakes others have made in the past. Elder Kethron of the Altarians nodded. Agreement. The humans should handle this. They have shown they can be both firm and merciful. High Processor Zenth of the Crystalline Hegemony also agreed, though he looked uncomfortable. His species was still getting used to following human leadership instead of giving orders. What if the Kalari refused to listen? Asked Mind Leader Vashti of the Scion Confederacy. President Cho's expression was calm but serious. Then they will learn the same lesson the Vorac learned. The choice is theirs. Back on the Perseverance, Battle Leader Court had come aboard with a squad of his warriors. The Kalari were large, aggressive-looking reptiles covered in natural armor. They carried advanced weapons and moved like professional soldiers. Impressive. Ship for explorers, Court said, looking around the bridge. He did not know that he was seeing only the civilian systems. The military equipment was still hidden. We try to be prepared for anything, Captain Hyunwoo replied diplomatically. Battle. Leader. Before we discuss your species joining the galactic community, there are some historical records you should see. History does not interest me. Only the present matters. I think you will find this history very relevant to your present situation. Hyunwoo activated the main screen and began showing the Kalari leader recordings from the recent war. Court watched with growing amazement as human fleets destroyed the mighty Vorac Empire in a matter of days. Trick photography, he said, but his voice was less confident than before. I can provide you with independent verification from any species in the galaxy, Hyunwoo said quietly. Battle Leader, the Vorac Empire had 10,000 warships and millions of warriors. They were considered one of the most powerful military forces in the galaxy. Humans defeated them completely in less than a week. Court was quiet for a moment, studying the battle recordings. These humans in the videos, they fight differently than you. No, Battle Leader, they fight exactly like us. We are all the same species, trained in the same way, using the same tactics and strategies. To prove his point, Captain Hyunwoo activated the ship's military systems. The bridge transformed around them as weapons controls rose from hidden panels and armor plating sealed the windows. In seconds, the peaceful exploration vessel became a warship. Court quote, warriors reached for their weapons, but their leader stopped them. He was beginning to understand that he was completely outmatched. How many ships like this do humans have? He asked. Enough, Hyunwoo replied simply. Meanwhile, on Vorac Prime, the war crimes trials were ending. War Chief Grexatal and his commanders had been found guilty of attacking human civilians, but the sentences were not as harsh as many expected. The court sentences you to 20 years imprisonment, announced Judge Heejin Nam from Earth's High Court. You will serve your time helping to rebuild New Jeju Colony and learning about the species you tried to destroy. Grextal stood to address the court. I do not understand human justice. You could have executed us or enslaved our entire species. Instead, you show mercy to your enemies. Former War Chief, Judge Nam replied. Humanity learned long ago that vengeance creates more enemies than it eliminates. We seek justice, not revenge. But why? We killed your people. We deserve death. You deserve justice. And part of that, justice is giving you the chance to become better than you were. This was perhaps the most alien thing about humans, from the galaxy's perspective. Every other species understood overwhelming force. Many understood mercy toward the defeated. But only humans seemed to combine absolute military dominance with genuine desire to help their enemies improve. Dr. Won Ho-yoon, now Director of Human Intelligence Services, was reviewing reports from across the galaxy. His hidden network of agents and monitoring systems gave humanity complete awareness of potential threats long before they became dangerous. Status report on the Kalari, he asked his assistant. Captain Kim has made successful contact. Their battle leader is currently reviewing the historical files about our military capabilities. And their response? Initial aggression, followed by rapid reconsideration when shown what happened to the Vorac. Dr. Wonho nodded. Good. Another potential war avoided through proper preparation. This was the new reality in the galaxy. Humanity maintained peace not through weakness or even through diplomacy alone. but through the absolute certainty that any aggression would be met with overwhelming and immediate response. Back on the Perseverance, Battle Leader Court was finishing his review of human military history. What he found there changed his entire perspective on galactic politics. "The Terran hegemony," he said quietly. "Your species once ruled a third of the galaxy through military conquest." "Yes," Captain Hyunwoo confirmed. "And then we chose to give it up and become peaceful." "But why? You were the strongest, you could have ruled everything." "Because ruling through fear makes everyone miserable, including the rulers. We decided that helping other species grow and prosper was more satisfying than conquering them." Court was quiet for a long time, thinking. Finally, he spoke again. "What would happen if the Kellery chose to be aggressive toward other species?" "You would be stopped," Hyunwoo said simply, quickly and decisively, "but we would prefer to help you find a better path. And if we chose to be peaceful, then you would be welcomed as friends and trading partners. The galaxy is big enough for everyone to prosper." The Kellery leader looked at his warriors, then back at Captain Hyunwoo. I think the Kellery have much to learn about being part of a galactic community." "Everyone does," Hyunwoo said with a smile. "That is what makes it interesting." 1 year after the war, Ambassador Yoon-ji Han stood before the Galactic Council to deliver humanity's annual address. The chamber was fuller than it had ever been before, with dozens of species that had requested to join the peaceful galactic community. "The past year has shown us that peace is not the absence of conflict," she said. "Peace is the result of everyone understanding that cooperation serves all species better than conquest." She looked around the chamber at representatives from across the galaxy. "Humanity does not seek to rule anyone. We seek to protect everyone. But that protection comes with a responsibility. To use your freedom wisely, and to remember that actions have consequences." Her words were broadcast to every world in the galaxy. On Vorac Prime, former War Chief Gregstall was working in the rebuilt farms of New Jeju Colony, learning about the humans he had tried to destroy. On Kalari Prime, Battle Leader Court was studying galactic history and preparing his species for peaceful integration. And throughout human space, the great warships returned to their hidden bases.